Welcome to this webinar hosted by the South African Council for Businesswomen. The topic for today's webinar is Lead the Change. To ask questions and interact during the webinar, please use the chat sidebar to the right of the video presentation on the screen. Feel free to ask your questions during the webinar in the chat. There will also be a formal Q&A at the end of the presentation. The program for today will start with Hester de Bruin giving a welcome message, followed by Winda Austin Lufer talking about your greatness is not what you have, it is what you give. Melinda Stark will talk about Rise to the Challenge, and Sarita Nagy about Embrace Yourself. And we'll end with our keynote speaker Charlotte Kemp talking about Tonight Women to Lead the Business Evolution, Evolutionary. I now hand you over to Hester de Bruin.
It is my privilege today to welcome you all to our Women's Month celebration. We are still coming to terms with the challenging times caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. We have seen women transform their business models to adapt to the new way of work. Some of the businesses are thriving and others are struggling to survive. Now more than ever is the time for us as businesswomen to take hands, to work together and to support one another. Sometimes you just need someone that will listen to you for you to see the light at the end of the tunnel. This month we launched our Businesswomen Recognition Awards as part of our Project Heartbeat, and we are looking for our top 10 ambassadors. Women who inspire and motivate us with their stories. You can find the criteria and the registration form on our website. The Council's vision is to unite women to lead the business evolution. Not just to lead, but also to lead with consciousness, to speak with integrity, to lead with authenticity, and hold ourselves accountable. I would like to acknowledge our founder, Mrs. Rika Venter, for the vision that she had when she founded this organization 32 years ago, and the legacy that she and many others left us during the lockdown. She and her husband moved to a care center, and they are in good spirits. All of our past leaders had the passion to empower women and to unlock their potential, and I have invited 3 of our previous leaders to bring us a special message, and I will introduce them as we continue with the program. All of these women are wives, mothers, grandmothers, highly qualified individuals, and successful experts in their fields. I'm also excited to introduce to you our keynote speaker, Charlotte Kemp, a Futures Alchemist. Now, the definition of an alchemist that I found is someone who transforms things for the better. And I know that this is something all women would like to achieve. I also wish to thank all the women in the front line assisting with the challenges of COVID-19. We appreciate what you all are doing to keep us safe. We salute you. Firstly, I would like to introduce Winda Austin Lufer. Winda is the director of SBI, the previously AHI, and serves as a business chamber president with responsibilities of chamber liaison and member growth. She has been involved in organized business since 1992, served on the management team of the Tygerberg Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Her involvement in organized business originated with a passion to assist in the empowerment of businesswomen and to make a positive difference in the lives of our youth. She also believes with unity in purpose and vision, and utilization of the synergy in our diversity. The members of the organized business can change South Africa to a country where people can live and work with dignity, with a sense of self-esteem and the confidence in the future. The SACBW is also a member of the SBI, the Small Business Institute, and we are proud to be a member of them. Thank you, Winda, and we're looking forward to your presentation.
Giving back, one of the most enriching experiences a person can have. Winston Churchill said, "We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give." We are women, we wives, we mothers, and by nature, that makes us the givers, the nurturers, and the educators. That is part of being women. And as women, we have an obligation to put back into the world at least the equivalent of what we take out of it. We give back in business, and we also give back to the community. Human resources is the most valuable asset in any business. And for a business to create long-term sustainability, it needs to demonstrate that to the staff. I know an IT company that have a music room for their employees where they can once a week for an hour have a music lesson on a variety of instruments. And that gives them the time to shut down and to learn something new. Just imagine how much this contributes towards creativity, productivity, job satisfaction, and also respect for the employer. In business, we're familiar with the saying, customer is king. The more you do for your customer, the longer you will retain that customer. And through word of mouth, you'll even be able to get more customers. We all want to make profit in business, but remember, profit is the applause you get for taking care of your customers and creating a motivating environment for your people. In the community, there are two kinds of people. There are givers and there are takers. And my philosophy in life is that we are spiritual beings on a human path. And when paths cross, it's not a coincidence. We have to ask ourselves, do I have to give or do I have to receive? The golden rule is to always look after those who are less advantaged than us. And apart from being a gratifying experience, giving back to the community also has other consequences. First of all, the members of the community might become your customers. And secondly, roles can change in an instant, and you never know when you are the person needing help from someone else. My giving back was to donate my time and my effort to organize business. I joined organized business in 1992, and I've been involved with a variety of organizations. That's for the past 28 years. And my involvement with the South African Council for Businesswomen started in 1993. And what a privilege it's been to serve this organization as president for 3 years in the 1990s. However, during this time, I just didn't give back. I also received a lot. Apart from growing on a personal level, I got to rub shoulders with some strong and wonderful women. And Annick Tron is one of those women, and I would like to pay tribute to her. At the age of 42, she started her organization, Forever Young Pty Limited, which is well known to all of us, with her product brand Annick. And in 1976, she appointed her first consultant. 30 years later, she had 15,000 people, 15,000 consultants. She was also a president of the South African Council for Businesswomen, and that was in 1991. And Annick never stopped giving back and serving this organization and the community until her death, and that was at the age of 86. What a wonderful legacy to leave behind of giving back to the community. At the end of the day, it's not about what you have or even what you've accomplished. It's about who you've lifted up, who you've made better. It's about what you've given back. Oprah Winfrey said, "I don't think you ever stop giving. I really don't. I think it's an ongoing process, and it's not just being able to write a check. It's being able to touch somebody's life. And as we know, living is about making a life, and life is about sharing. So to all the ladies, I wish you a wonderful journey of giving back, making a positive difference, and enjoying a most rewarding experience.
Secondly, it's my privilege to welcome Melinda Stark. Melinda loves to travel and documented many of her travels in a travel column for the newspaper. A passion for helping others succeed and develop their inborn talents led her to join the leadership of the council for a number of years. Melinda has owned and run her own businesses for the past 30 years, of which 20 of these years have been in the travel and tourism industry. Melinda has achieved great success in her entrepreneurial efforts and been awarded for her achievements, one of which was being the runner-up in Africa's most influential Women in Business and Government Awards in tourism and leisure. I can remember I was there that day and we were so excited. Melinda has become known for her leadership as a leader, advisor and champion of women in tourism, run by NDT and the Minister of Tourism, and has excelled in public speaking, where her passion for inspiring women to become all they are meant to be has landed her many speaking and MC roles for various organizations and events. Melinda, we are looking forward to your special message.
Thanks for your great chat, Winda. I think all of us that have been involved as leaders in the SACBW have gained so much by giving back, as our lives have been forever changed by giving to others. And that is something I think I value the most of being involved in the leadership of the SACBW. But today I want to actually encourage all of you women. I want you to rise to the challenge and I want you to lead the change. I had a pastor that is still a dear friend of mine, and he would always say, change is the only constant. And this in the beginning, it sounded like a contradiction until you actually think about change is the only constant. And I think the world has been given a shaken up this year. And the term 2020 vision will surely have a new meaning from now on. I doubt if there's any business owner that has been affected by that has not been affected actually by the happenings in 2020. However, in the same breath, let me add that how we've dealt with it is what has and will make all the difference to our businesses in the future. Sometimes we really need to think out of the box, try something new, put ourselves out there, and who knows, maybe this has been the very best thing that could have happened to us. My question to you is, how did you handle it? Did you crumble and collapse into a heap of despair? Or did you rise to the challenge and take a new look at your business, at how you are doing things, how you can adapt, how you can change and implement new strategies? How will your business evolve and get better? How can you use this crisis to catapult your business into the new way of doing things and the new way of doing business? Maybe you've used the time to improve yourself by attending self-development webinars, and you learned a new skill like I did. I think my question is, did you dig deep? Did you discover that seed of greatness within you? Did you use your talents to create what it is that you have always dreamed of? How many times did we not say, if only I had the time to be quiet and come up with some new strategies, as it just feels as if my business is stagnating? Yes, I'm one of those. Well, the question is, how did you use your time? I used my time to not only improve myself by attending training webinars, but I also launched a new online business because I saw that's what's happening in the world. Because all my businesses are in the travel and tourism industry. So as you can imagine, I needed to find something that would get me through. And I'm so glad I did, as it has just opened a new way of doing business for me. I feel that sometimes we need to be reminded that we are all born with a seed of greatness. But what are we doing with these seeds? Sometimes we need to dig deep, and then if we look inside ourselves, we'll find that hidden seed that has been starved of nutrition, of water, and nurturing. It's up to us whether we're going to ignore it, let it die, or take that seed, water it with belief, develop it by nourishing it and nurturing it by taking that step of faith. Just remember one thing. You control your own swirl. Don't allow the weeds of negativity to grow. Weed it out. And yes, sometimes it will mean letting go of relationships, but that's a topic for another day. We need to focus on our potential, not on our limitations. So today I want to encourage you to rise to the challenge. Don't allow your seed to be buried with you one day. And I'm sure you've all heard this before, but the richest place on earth has to be the cemetery. Buried 6 feet under are books that were never written, movies that were never made, songs that were never sung, businesses that were never started, inventions that were never invented, and so the list can go on. I want you to raise your hand or put a heart in the comments if you love Christmas, because you know what, who can't either believe it's just 4 months away, well, just over 4 months away. And I often get reminded of how many days to Christmas, as my daughter is a Christmas lover of note, even though she's 24 today. And I want to tell you a Christmas story, and I want you to picture this. It's early Christmas morning, and little Jason jumps out of bed. He races down the stairs. He calls up to his mom and dad, and he says, I see presents, come quickly. So he grabs the first gift excitedly, and he tears off the paper, as you know kids do. So what is it? What is it? He shouts. All of a sudden, he stops. This gift looks familiar. He's sure it looks just like the cricket bat he got last year. This can't be. He grabs the next gift and rips the paper off again, and then, oh my goodness, this looks like the car set he got last year. By this time, mom and dad have come down the stairs, and seeing the puzzling look on his face, he asks, what's the matter, Jason? Asks his mom, and Jason just tears open another paper, another gift, and rips off the paper and says, oh my goodness, this is the card game from last year as well. Now he is visibly upset as he wails. He says, but these are all gifts from last year. Why didn't I get new gifts? Why did I get all my old gifts again? And this is when his dad pops and he says, well, we see that you did not use the gifts last year. So if you use those gifts this year, we will give you new ones. And if you share your gifts, we will give you double next time. So my question to you is, are you going to share your gifts before it's too late? Life is not going to give you more until you do something with what you already have. Are you using and sharing the gifts you were given? Maybe you were given the gift of encouragement. Who have you encouraged today? Or the gift of singing. Have you developed this gift and are you blessing others with your voice? Or maybe you have the gift of business. What business have you started? Or teaching? Let me tell you my story. And it was the year 1986. I'd been married for a few months. And yes, you're going to guess my age from there. And we had some friends over for dinner. And as it goes, at meal times, everybody is chatting away, sharing stories. And I piped up to say something. But lo and behold, as soon as I realized everyone's attention was on me, my mouth went dry and my mind went blank. This did not happen in the middle of a sentence, alas, but it happened in the middle of a word. Now, lucky for me, I have a husband who loves talking, and he just took over and continued with my story, which I might add he loves to do today from time to time as well. But it was after this that I made the decision that I never wanted to be in that situation again. I realized I needed to work on my self-esteem, believe in myself, and believe that I had something worthwhile to say. You see, I had a dream to one day be able to stand before people and speak. I had always joked and said that I would rather sing than speak, but today I would much rather speak than sing. It did not all happen immediately, remember, because what I did is I stretched myself at times. I put myself into situations where I was forced to say something. But the difference was that I had changed my mindset. I had rehearsed in my mind how I would speak and how people would listen. And I started believing in myself. And the more I believed in myself, the easier it became. And over the years, as I developed and I put myself out there, I started enjoying it. And today, I can speak to an audience of 400, or even 4,000. As what I do believe is that I have something to say that can impact on people's lives. So that is so important. And sometimes we don't develop our gifts because we're trying to fit in. We don't want to stand out in a crowd. So we'd rather ignore our gift and try and blend in. And one of our previous presidents always used to say, you know what? You were not born to be a copy. You were not born to try and fit in. You were born an original. You were born to stand out. So effectively, you know what? You have the power within you and you are not tapping into it. So what are you thinking? Because whatever you think about, you will bring about. So whatever seed you're planting will grow if you put it into rich, fertile soil. What does a tomato seed give? It gives a tomato. The soil will work with whatever you feed it. The soil does not determine the seed does. So for your seed of greatness to come to its full potential, you need to plant supportive seeds into your mind. You need to be surrounded by women of the same mindset. You have to plant positivity. You need to plant success, that which you want to produce. But the harvest you have today is the result of the seed that you planted yesterday. Your life is the way it is because of you. So you can change it. And every morning when you wake up, what I want you to realize is you wake up with unlimited power, as you have the power to think whatever you want because you choose. Ask yourself your question. With this webinar, what am I going to do with the information I received today? You received valuable information from Winda, and I know that the speakers following on are going to give you invaluable information, things that you can use. And let me illustrate it like this to you. Who likes riddles? So 5 frogs are sitting on a lily pad, and 3 decide to jump. How many are left? If you said 2, sorry, you're wrong. If you said 5, you're correct. And why do I say that? Because you know what? The frogs said they decided, but guess what? Did they actually jump? No, they didn't go over to action. They did not rise to the challenge, and they did not actually jump. And we need to take action. Sometimes we make decisions and we never really mean it. We know it's the right decision. It makes sense, and yes, it will be a good idea, but we just don't take that next step and go over to action. If you find this happens to you, I'm going to give you a little tip. What I want you to do is link your decision to an emotional why. How will this decision and the results and what will happen afterwards, how will it affect your loved ones? Attach it to an emotion and see what a difference it makes. Because a committed and an emotionally attached decision that you make today can and will change your life. But only if you go over to action. Get rid of excuses, burn those bridges, and make it happen. And my question today to you is, are you ready to rise to the challenge and lead the change? Thank you, ladies.
I would like to introduce Sarita Nagy. Sarita has been an entrepreneur for the past 20 years in the interior decorating space and event planning, and is also the founder of Confident Women in Business, a forum and ministry designed to inspire, support, and encourage women in business who love God to be kingdom change makers in the marketplace, to align their businesses with their faith and to be the best version of what God intended them to be. She is a difference maker and has a serving heart, and currently also does the marketing and fundraising for an NPO, Baasfontein Community Transformation. Sarita, we are looking forward to your special message for us today.
It's lovely to spend the morning with you, and it's really a privilege for me to also have the stage and now the click meeting or webinar with all these amazing ladies in my life. So as a businesswoman, I would like to ask yourself, I would like you to ask yourself the following questions today. Are you set in your ways, or do you embrace new ideas? Do you welcome suggestions from others? Are you open to learning and trying new things? Are you willing to change things if someone else finds a better way? What was your reaction to the sudden change we have all experienced during the past months? I don't know what you answered or how. I know it's often easier to keep doing things the old way than it is to change, or at least it can seem so at first. Change takes time and effort, but good changes are worth it in the long run. We just need to be mindful of where we are at. We shouldn't just resist change, but we also shouldn't just go to the other extreme of changing things just for the sake of change. We all know that circumstances change, situations change, people change, and we change. Change never seems natural or easy. We naturally repel it and often want to retreat back into our comfort zone because normalcy is safe and it doesn't provoke fear, and it allows us to live our lives without facing things that could potentially hurt us or build us up. Embracing change in our lives and in the workplace is essential to growing as an individual and being a better person than who we were yesterday. But how do we embrace change instead of pushing it away? But let's just take a quick look at the changes we have experienced recently in our society. It can be quite disorientating, but also provide us with huge opportunities. This has redefined the world we are living in, and I think we can all relate to that. Or it can or will have an effect on generations to come. It can be frightening and painful in some instances, creative and innovative in others. But it's always disorientating, and it requires that we learn how to navigate these unexpected paths. So what we are experiencing might be disorientating, but what if this is also an opportunity? What if these moments are uncovering a new path of our God-given design and call? We might discover a new purpose. We might be realizing that this is an opportunity to rise. So we need women who will voice new dreams, who will be willing to play their part and lead the way. We need women to bring new ideas. We need women to see and act on the potential that this new landscape can bring. We need women to create new ways of being, of living and doing. So as I prepared for today, I came across this saying, living things grow, growing things change, and there is no growth without change. In other words, change are actually necessary for growth. So let's embrace what is. It is said that life is 10% what happens to you and 90% your response to it. So you can choose to resist and fight change, or respond to it positively, embracing it. Let go of what was. In order to embrace something, you need to release whatever else is in your hands. We sometimes think that we might have the right to hold on to things or moments as if they are rightfully ours. And then we cling to the past, the comfortable and the familiar. However, if we strive to hold on to the past, we run the risk of trapping ourselves in what was. Rather, we should seek to live in the moment, freely embracing the new opportunities. So without question, changes are unsettling. I would like to share a few tips with you today on how to embrace change. So keep looking ahead to the new, the future, the opportunity. Take inventory of your new surroundings, whatever they may be. Allow yourself some time to grieve those things that you have left behind in order to fully embrace the new. And I think this is one of the most important things that you can take away from embracing change today. Be honest regarding the things about your changes that you don't like. Accept the things that you cannot change. Process with someone who knows you well and with whom you can trust your feelings and emotions as you adjust to your new. And then gradually take initiative to enter into your new job, your new venture in your business, your new home, new relationship, new season in your life, or whatever it may be. And then focus on the good aspects of the changes, because that keeps our mindset positive. Journal those things that you are learning through the change. What are you learning about yourself? And lastly, and most importantly, turn regularly to the one who is unchanging. I would like to close with this, and I love what Corrie ten Boom said. Hold everything in your hands lightly. Otherwise, it hurts when God pries your fingers open. Hope you will embrace the changes going forward. Thank you, ladies.
Our keynote speaker today is Charlotte Kemp. Charlotte is a Futures Alchemist, an author, a podcaster, Deputy President of PSASA, that is the Professional Speakers Association of Southern Africa. She works with organizations and their people to co-create a collaborative culture to find a unique and sustainable path into the future of any industry. She has created a model of a map, compass, and guide to help organizations navigate the future. Many people are paralyzed in their approach to the future, feeling the overwhelm of the exponentially increasing pace of life. Introduction of technologies, changing values and disruption to norms and expectations. The stress of the future often causes people to withdraw, procrastinate, and abdicate. Charlotte, we want to thank you for your special message that you are bringing to the businesswomen this morning.
Welcome to the colleagues and members of the South African Businesswomen's Council. My name is Charlotte Kemp, and I'm going to be speaking to you this August Women's Month in the most unprecedented of times about your topic, to unite women to lead the evolutionary. My actual presentation is about becoming a conscious futurist, and I'd like to invite you to consider yourselves to be futurists too. I know it's not a term that we use every day, so let me take a moment to explain it. A futurist is someone who doesn't predict the future necessarily. There's no crystal ball gazing. There's no kind of guessing what is happening in the future. It's not esoteric. It really is a whole set of business models and academic approaches that allow us to prepare ourselves to address the future in whatever form it comes, as well as to find ways to influence the future so that we can create our preferred outcomes. And as business owners, as women, as leaders, we are all natural futurists. So let me introduce myself. My name is Charlotte Kemp. I am a professional speaker, I am an author and a podcaster, and I am also a futurist. Now, I've already explained that I'd like you to think about yourselves being futurists as well, but we're going to take this a little bit a step further. If we want to unite and lead an evolution, then we need to be more than just futurists. We should become conscious futurists. So I'm going to spend some time unpacking that for us. We certainly are in times that are very unusual. We could not have expected the extent of the disruption that we are experiencing at the moment. We could not anticipate the numerous ways that our whole world has had to adapt and change. And there's obviously a lot of anxiety and tension about this. But women business owners have a unique opportunity in this time to really define what the world should be like. If so many things are broken, so many things are disrupted, the normal rules have been thrown out the window, and everybody is sitting down to redesign the processes that we need to actually operate in this world, then it's the opportunity we need to take to define the way the world should be. We can take this time to highlight some of the values that are on the South African Business Council Women's website. Right on your homepage, we're talking about empowering each other, equipping each other, embracing opportunities, embracing those who have been left behind. These are the values that we can introduce into our leadership. These are the values that we can introduce into our business. And certainly we're seeing some wonderful stories in terms of politics about the countries that really are coping with the current COVID crisis. Have a look on Google, you'll find out how many of those countries are actually led by women. So we have an opportunity now to redefine not just business, not just families, but indeed the way the politics, the way the world works. And we can do that if we are conscious about what we want to achieve. So let's just break it down. What is being conscious? Conscious is becoming aware of something. These are basic definitions. So to become aware of something instead of to just operate on remote control, to operate on habit, to respond to opportunities instead of to see things happening and ignore them because we don't have the capacity to deal with them. If we're conscious, we want to be able to respond to these either crises or opportunities that we see. Consciousness is also about having knowledge of something, seeking out information that we might be missing. If you have a look on Google and you search for conscious, you'll almost always find images that that kind of highlight the brain, but kind of connected to the stars, kind of like this galaxy feeling. It might feel a little bit esoteric, but really I think what those images, what this concept is trying to highlight for us is that to be conscious is to slow down, to pause enough, to pay attention to something that we might have been overlooking, to spend a little bit of time in reflection, maybe a little bit more philosophy, to decide how we want to do something instead of to keep operating, keep obeying the rules that have been defined for the last couple of centuries. If things are broken, then let's break them a little bit more and let's evolve towards something that is a better world that we can live in, rather than just complying with what has happened in the past. So first of all, we become aware of what it means to be conscious. Then let's explore some concepts we might have heard before. Conscious leadership is something that a lot of us are familiar with. There are a whole range of kind of guidelines and principles that we can adopt if we want to be better leaders. A conscious leader is better than an old-fashioned leader. An old-fashioned leader really kind of relied on position and power and control and obedience. To be a conscious leader is to raise people up, to give them agency, to empower them to become the leaders that they need to be. We don't need to micromanage everything. We don't need to control everything. As conscious leaders, we want to raise up more people like ourselves so that we can make more change. We can evolve the whole world faster and further than we could on our own if we were trying to control it. So conscious leadership is something we might have become familiar with. Another area is conscious consumption. Now, in terms of the futures world, in terms of looking at trends, this is something we're seeing become really powerful and kind of a powerful advocate for change. Conscious consumption means that we need to really consider the impact of the purchasing choices we make. It's no longer just if I'm hungry, am I going to buy a burger and eat it? What is the impact on my health or my personal satisfaction in this moment? When we consume something, we now become aware of the entire value chain of how that item came into our possession. So conscious consumption doesn't just look at the item and the consumer, the value chain, as well as the stakeholders, everybody who is impacted by the creation of this item that we are choosing. It does make it a little bit difficult. Sometimes you want to go in and buy something quickly, you want to eat something, you want to buy a pair of jeans, and then you have to pause and consider the ethical ramifications of the item that you're about to purchase. It can be a little bit overwhelming, but we are finding more of those decisions being highlighted, and more consumers putting pressure on businesses to really reconsider how they create those items. You might want to consider every now and then the products and services that you are creating and what you are offering to the market. And when you do that, you're moving a little bit from conscious consumption to conscious capitalism. Now we're talking about the business element of it. When a business becomes conscious in terms of how they create goods, they are aware of their own value chain. They are aware that it's not just the kind of senior management and the shareholders that are impacted by the decisions that the business makes. It is everybody. It is the stakeholders. It is everybody who's connected with that business in some way. It's the environment. This is where we find the triple bottom line, the people, planet, and profit. It's no longer just about the money. It's about the impact of what a business sets out to do day after day. Again, if the world is a little bit broken and disrupted right now, this is the opportunity we have not to necessarily break it further. We're not necessarily looking for a revolution, but we can certainly press into the current crisis and evolve into something that is better. So now we get to conscious futurist. I believe that we're all futurists. We could be better futurists if we embraced the tools and understood what was available to us to plan better for the future, to anticipate the future better, to be able to avoid certain crises, to mitigate those risks, as well as to lean into those opportunities and grasp new markets and new areas that we hadn't thought of before. If you've ever planned for your business future, if you've ever planned for your retirement, if you've ever planned for your children's education, you are already a futurist. Now we want to work out how to be a conscious futurist and to make better choices. And that is what I want to introduce to you. So we have 5 levels of being a conscious futurist. If we start at the bottom, I'd like you to look at the spiral and just see that these aren't necessarily steps. They're not layers. It's not an achievement that you get to the next level and you get an award and you are now there and you'll stay there forever. This spiral goes both up and down. And we all start at the bottom at some point in terms of survival. There are naturally many businesses that have suffered, many businesses that are not going to continue to exist because of the current circumstances the world finds itself in. So if your business has been impacted that way, you certainly are in survival mode. You would have had a time when you went into lockdown, when there were the movement control orders that kind of restricted what we could do. When we did that, we were all in survival mode. We had to decide how much, plan for how much food we needed to take care of our families, what were going to happen to our staff or to our employees. How could we anticipate what we might need for the next 2 or 3 or 4 weeks that we were going to be in lockdown? And then when those were extended, now the ramifications of what that meant for our business and for our staff and again for our clients, how would we survive this time? It's a very real, very scary time. We've all found ourselves in that space this year. But once we can move past the survival mode, we get into the responsible mode of being a futurist. Now, instead of just planning for today, to survive today, to survive this week, we can start to look at what does it mean for our business in the next couple of months. How can we make certain plans to take care of our responsibilities for our business and for our families? What very difficult decisions do we have to make sure that the business can survive, or do we actually need to close a business down? Because that is the responsible thing to do. So again, a very difficult time to be in, and something that many people have had to go through. But when we're in that responsible phase of being a responsible futurist, we're looking and making our plans a little bit further afield than we were when we're in survival mode. We're not panicking about how we're going to survive or our loved ones are going to survive today. We're now looking a little bit broader in terms of our responsibilities. Once we've dealt with that layer or that kind of stage, we can then move up to the invested level of being a futurist. Now, when we're invested, we're making plans for the future. We are maybe sacrificing a few short-term goals so that we can invest in some profit in the future. We can hope for some expansion one day in the future. We can invest in staff, in nurturing new leaders, in building up people who will take over elements of our business. Now we're being invested. And you can see as we go through these layers, we're opening our kind of focus, our attention from the immediate person to the next layer of people, to then the next layer of people. We're expanding our attention and our time frame from this short-term moment of, today, this week, to, the next month or two. And then now at the invested level, maybe we're looking at the next year, the next 2 or 3 years. We might not be able to make definitive plans yet because there are still so many variables, but we certainly can lift our eyes a little bit higher in the horizon and start to anticipate some things that could happen and put things in place that would pay off in the future. Now we're being invested. Being a conscious futurist now means taking an even bigger step. Now we are not focusing so much on our needs, on the benefits to us or to our immediate loved ones. We're saying, how can what we have developed, what we have created, how can we share that beyond our own circle? How can we touch the lives and influence the futures and the fortunes of people who may not ever even recognize us or know our names? But we know that we have put something into the world that will make the world a better place way beyond our immediate circle of influence. That has been a conscious futurist. There is a layer beyond that. That is to be transcendent. That is to invest something in the world that really will make a difference long term. And if any of you know some wonderful ways to be transcendent, then that is the kind of thing that we need to understand. That is when we start to collaborate, to co-create, not just within a country, but across borders. These are the opportunities we have during these times. As much as we've been challenged, as much as there has been pain and problems that we've had to encounter, we are able to really reach way beyond the traditional boundaries and restrictions that we've had in the past. So how do we move between these levels? Please do understand that we're going to be moving up and down them. You may find yourself one day at an invested level or at a conscious level, and then something happens and you'll find yourself tumbling down. We have personal crises, we have health crises, something might happen to our business even after everyone else finds their feet. Give yourself the space to understand that this is a cycle, a spiral that goes up and down. And if you've been at a higher level at some point in the past, even if you're going through a treacherous time right now, know that you can return there. Know that there are ways to move up there and reach out to your community to find that support that you need to keep moving up that spiral, or to at least catch your breath as you fall a little bit lower. How do we develop though? How do we explore? There's numbers of ways of doing this, but here are just a handful. Explore beyond your circle. Don't allow yourself to become complacent with the people that you know and the rules that you know and the market that you know. Explore and see what people are doing in other parts of the world, in other industries that are different from yours. See how they're dealing with challenges. There are so many creative responses at the moment to the crises we're finding ourselves in. And those responses, while you may not be able to use them for your own business, you can certainly be inspired when you see how other people have responded, and you can find new ways to respond to your own problems. So look beyond your own circle and don't just keep your eyes in a small space. Play with opposite ideas. This is a similar kind of concept. The whole approach of futures thinking isn't necessarily to come to a predetermined kind of set of results. What we're really trying to do is expand people's thinking to new opportunities, to new ways of looking at problems. And when we look at opposite ideas, we give our brains the permission to not have to decide or settle or defend a particular idea, but to play with two ideas at the same time. It's a wonderful opportunity when we can play with those two ideas at the same time, that we can see that there are always so many opportunities between those two extremes. And the more you play with that, the more opportunities you'll find for your business, the more ways you'll find to create a future that is beneficial to us all. Consider the passage of time. We're looking at the future, but we can learn from the past. We can understand when we look backwards that things have evolved over time. And if we can see that evolution, then we can appreciate an evolution into the future. We don't have to feel pressured to have a result immediately. We can know that we can invest right now for wonderful results in time to come. And then define your values. Really understand what drives you. Understand why you want to do something, why you want to create your business, and understand the values of the people that you're working with. Sometimes when we do that, we find areas in our lives that we've been operating in because we inherited those values, we inherited those ideas, and that it might actually be time during this time of disruption to get rid of some of those areas in our lives that don't work, that don't actually suit us. There might be some parts of your business that you have been performing in, but it turns out you actually don't want to invest your time in. So there you go, just a handful of ideas about how to develop your thinking so that you can evolve your concept of the future as a futurist to become more conscious. The more conscious you become, the more able you are able to influence the others around you, that we can keep evolving to a wonderful new future that we get to define and create instead of just what we've inherited. Good luck to you all. Enjoy Women's Month. And please, if you have any questions or ideas or anything you want to share with me, any stories, feel free to reach out to me.